Alright, so with my journal covers, what I've decided to do is I've decided to do this design on a plain cover. I am going to use mostly black marker to do the lines, but I think I'm going to change throughout here some of the lines to have color. Alright, I think that's going to make it more interesting, just kind of randomly putting some lines of color in. Maybe, maybe not. Alright, and for my second cover, I'm going to be doing texture. I'm going to be on the white one. So what I did was, as I showed you on the example, I laid this down on top of a piece of copy paper, and I made it so that the edge of the copy paper was not covering the holes. And I laid it down, and I traced it out, and I cut it out, and I just glued it down to the surface. So this is going to be either my front or my back cover. It's not really going to matter. Just remember one other thing. When you do the cover design, the art journal nameplate is going to be on the front cover somewhere. Alright, so this information is going to be somewhere in the design when I go to do my final. Like, once I'd finish the design, I'm going to have this somewhere in the journal cover. Alright, so I'm going to start with this one here, just using my ruler, and I'm going to start recreating this line style directly onto the journal cover using a ruler and giving myself the opportunity so that I have straight lines. Alright, I'm just using this transparent angle. So I'm just going to start by doing exactly what I did on the rough, and I'm using the transparent one. You might not have that, but if you have a piece of, use a regular ruler at home. Now I'm using a thin black pen, right? Just so I can keep the lines neat and clean. But obviously, if I go back in, I could use my slightly thicker Sharpie, and I could fill that space in a little bit quicker. You just have to be careful when you're using a Sharpie to make sure that if you hold it on the fiber of this too long, what happens is it starts to bleed and kind of spread out. So I'm just using the thin one here. So what I think is a good idea now that I've got the pattern started, I'm just going to do all the lines all the way up. And when I decide to get to another area and I want to change color, I can always change color by using a different color pen. If I have a blue pen at home, if you have a green pen, if you have gel pens at home, these work really well. Alright, so that would be the process for starting that cover if I'm going directly onto this. If I wanted to, could I start off with pencil? Sure. Pencil line shows up on there, alright, so you'd be able to see what you were doing with that. And then of course with the other cover, with my texture design, these lines I can go right in. See, I did this in pencil. I went back in with the black ink pen, and I did those lines with the ink pen. I don't necessarily have to do this in pencil first, right? If I start in with, putting these lines in, I can go right in with my black ink pen. Alright, then I would continue that pattern similarly, not exactly, but I would continue that pattern similarly all the way through this by using the ruler and the pen. Now, one other thought I had was, see what I did, as I mentioned here, with the lines on this. I went in and used the ink pen and I used the gel pens, and where I added the color, I used line to create that color. I don't have to do this on white. I could use a white gel pen to recreate that white in there with the black. So that would be an option as well. I can come in, redraw this information directly onto this, or, as I said, you can draw it directly onto a white cover, and then you can use your gel pens markers, whatever else, directly on the chipboard cover. Okay? So be creative, have fun with it. All right, make sure that your journal covers, again, are presentable, interesting, creative, and original. All right, and then again, at the end, somewhere in the design, you will be putting, not now, after we finish both covers, photograph them, and turn them in. My covers together. I've got good lighting right here. And I would put my phone here so you guys can see. I would line up the two journal covers so that they are even inside the frame. There'd be none of this other stuff in the frame there. Like that. I have the two journal covers together like that, and I would photograph the two covers and turn them in.